The dust on Threshold 7 never settled. It hung in the air like a red mist, coating everything it touched. Hyunwoo wiped his visor for the third time that hour and kept walking. The crystalline canyon stretched before him, its walls glittering in the light of the distant sun. He was supposed to catalog the native plants before the mining company tore everything apart. That was his job. That was why he had traveled 2 months through space to reach this forgotten rock. His equipment beeped. Something was moving nearby. Hyunwoo checked his scanner and frowned. The reading was strange. Too large to be one of the local lizards. Too small to be dangerous. Probably. He had been on enough worlds to know that probably could get you killed. He climbed over a fallen boulder and stopped. There was blood on the rocks. Fresh blood. Dark blue. Almost black. Hyunwoo knew that color. He had seen it in the safety briefings they made everyone watch. Vakoth blood. His hand went to the radio on his belt. He should call this in, report it immediately. That was protocol. Vakoths were kill on sight across the entire empire. Everyone knew the stories. Ships torn apart, colonies destroyed. They were monsters, pure predators with no mercy. But Hyunwoo did not press the button. Instead, he followed the blood trail. It led him deeper into the canyon, where the shadows grew thick. The trail ended at a small cave, barely large enough for him to crawl inside. He turned on his helmet light and looked in. 2 eyes stared back at him. They were golden, slitted like a cat's. The creature made a sound, half hiss and half whimper. It was small, maybe the size of a large dog. Its fur was matted with blood and dust. One of its legs was bent at a wrong angle. Hyunwoo had seen pictures of adult Vakoths. They were huge, with jaws that could bite through metal. This one was nothing like those pictures. This one was young, a baby, and it was dying. He backed out of the cave and stood up. His hands were shaking. He needed to think. He looked around and saw her then. The mother. She was lying 50 meters away. Her massive body riddled with burn marks. The automated defense turrets had killed her. They were programmed to eliminate any Vakoth that came near the colony. No warnings. No mercy. She must have been trying to find shelter for her cub. Maybe she had been injured somewhere else and was running. Maybe she had just been in the wrong place. It did not matter now. Hyunwoo looked back at the cave. The cub made that sound again. Lost. Alone. Scared. He should walk away. He should call it in. This was not his problem. These creatures were dangerous. Everyone said so. The Empire said so. They had good reasons for their policies. Their one intel Tomps. Anne. But when Hyunwoo closed his eyes, all he could see was those golden eyes, watching him, waiting for him to decide if it would live or die. He opened his supply pack and pulled out the medical kit. He had tranquilizers for wildlife studies, enough to put the cub to sleep. He loaded one into his injector gun and crawled back into the cave. The cub tried to move away but could not manage it. Up close, Hyunwoo could see how young it really was. Its teeth were small. Its claws barely developed. It hissed at him, trying to look threatening, but the sound was weak. Easy, Hyunwoo said quietly. I am going to help you. Do not make this harder. The cub did not understand his words, but something in his voice must have registered. It stopped hissing. Hyunwoo pressed the injector against its shoulder and pushed the trigger. The cub's eyes went wide, then slowly closed. Getting back to the colony with the unconscious Vakoth was the hardest thing Hyunwoo had ever done. He wrapped it in a thermal blanket and put it in his sample container. The container was designed to keep biological specimens alive during transport. It would work. It had to work. He took the long way back, avoiding the main paths. His colleague Jiwon was waiting at the lab when he arrived. She was reviewing data on her tablet and did not look up. Find anything interesting? She asked. Nothing unusual, Hyunwoo lied. Just the standard plants. I need to process some samples. Private samples. Personal project. G1 glanced at him. She was smart. Too smart. But she did not ask questions. That was one of the things he liked about her. Hyunwoo took the container to his quarters and locked the door. His quarters were small but private, one of the few benefits of being a specialist. He opened the container carefully. The cub was still asleep. Hyunwoo set up a makeshift bed using his spare blankets. He scanned the broken leg and found it was not as bad as he had feared. A clean break. He could set it. 18. He had done it before with research animals. He worked through the night. Setting the leg, cleaning the wounds, giving the cub fluids through an IV. As dawn broke over the colony, the cub opened its eyes. They stared at each other. Hyunwoo sat very still. The cub made a small chirping sound. Not aggressive, just confused. "Hello," Hyunwoo said softly. "I am going to call you Dae. That means great. Because you survived something impossible." Dae tilted his head, watching Hyunwoo with those strange golden eyes. Outside, Hyunwoo could hear the colony coming to life. People shouting, machines starting up. His radio crackled. The colonial administrator Tae-young was giving the morning briefing. Something about increased Vakoth activity in the region. Extra security measures. Everyone needed to be careful. Hyunwoo turned off the radio and looked at Dae. "What have I done?" he whispered. But deep down, he already knew the answer. He had made a choice, and there was no going back now. 6 months passed like a dream that Hyunwoo could not wake from. Every morning, he expected someone to discover his secret. Every night he went to sleep, amazed that he had survived another day. Dae grew faster than any creature Hyunwoo had ever studied. The small cub that fit in his arms now reached his waist. His golden eyes had grown sharper. His movements more precise. But the most shocking thing was not Dae's size. It was his mind. At first, Hyunwoo thought he was imagining it. Dae seemed to understand when Hyunwoo spoke. Not just the tone of voice, but the actual words. When Hyunwoo said, "Stay quiet," Dae would curl up and remain silent. When Hyunwoo said, "Hungry," Dae would move toward his food bowl before Hyunwoo even reached for it. Hyunwoo started testing him. Simple commands at first. Sit. Come. Wait. Dae learned them in days. Then more complex instructions. Go to the corner. Bring me that tool. Hide under the bed. Dae understood them all. One night, Hyunwoo sat at his desk and stared at his notes. This was impossible. According to every scientific paper, every military report, every piece of imperial documentation, Vakoths were animals. Smart animals, yes. Dangerous animals, absolutely. But animals. Not this. Never this. He built a simple communication board. Pictures and symbols that Dae could touch with his paw. Food, water, pain, happy, sad. He showed Dae how it worked, not really expecting anything. Dae touched the symbol for happy and looked at Hyunwoo. Then he touched the symbol for you. Hyunwoo felt something break inside his chest. "You are happy with me?" Dae made a sound. A soft rumbling that Hyunwoo had learned meant yes. That was when Ji-won found out. She had come to his quarters unannounced, carrying data files she wanted to discuss. Hyunwoo had forgotten to lock the door. He was in the bathroom when she entered. She walked in, calling his name, and then she stopped. Dae was lying on the bed, using the communication board. Hyunwoo came out of the bathroom and found Ji-won standing frozen, her tablet on the floor, her hand covering her mouth. "Please do not scream," Hyunwoo said quietly. Ji-won did not scream. She just stared. Dae stared back at her. "That is a Vakoth," she whispered. "Yes. In your quarters." "Yes. Are you insane?" Hyunwoo closed the door behind her. "Maybe. Probably. I found him 6 months ago. He was dying. I could not leave him. Ji-won looked at Dae. Dae tilted his head, studying her. Then he reached out with one paw and touched the communication board. The symbol for friend. Did he just... Ji-won moved closer, her fear giving way to scientific curiosity. Did he just ask if I am a friend? He learns fast, Hyunwoo said. Faster than anything I have ever seen. Ji-won sat down heavily on the chair. She looked at Hyunwoo, then at Dae, then back at Hyunwoo. You know what they will do if they find out? Kill him. Maybe kill me too. Definitely kill you too. Ji-won rubbed her face. Show me everything. All your notes. All your observations. I need to see. I need to see. They spent the next 3 hours going through Hyunwoo's research. Ji-won asked questions. She tested Dae herself. She watched how he responded to commands, how he used the communication board, how he seemed to understand complex ideas. This changes everything, she finally said. If Vakoths are this intelligent, if they are actually sapient beings, then the Empire has been committing genocide. I know. We need to document this properly. Real documentation. Scientific method. This is the most important discovery in a century. It is also a death sentence, Hyunwoo reminded her. Ji-won looked at Dae. He was watching them talk, his head moving back and forth like he was following the conversation. Maybe. But some truths are worth dying for. From that day on, Ji-won helped Hyunwoo care for Dae. She brought better equipment. She designed more sophisticated communication tools. She recorded everything. Together, they discovered that Dae was not just intelligent. He was learning exponentially. Within weeks, he was using a modified tablet to form simple sentences. Want, outside, see, sky. Those 4 words made Hyunwoo cry. But keeping Dae hidden became harder. He was growing. He needed more space, more food, more exercise. Hyunwoo started taking him out late at night, into the canyon where he had found him. Dae would run and play, and for a few hours, he seemed truly happy. It was during one of these outings that Sung-ho saw them. Sung-ho was a cargo inspector. A decent man who did his job without asking too many questions. He was doing a late-night inventory check when he saw movement in the canyon. He went to investigate. Hyunwoo did not see him until it was too late. Sung-ho stood at the edge of the canyon. His flashlight pointed at Dae. What is that? Sung-ho asked, his voice shaking. Hyunwoo put himself between Sung-ho and Dae. That does not look like any research animal I have ever seen. That is why it is exotic. Hyunwoo kept his voice calm. I have all the permits. I can show you tomorrow if you want. Sung-ho looked uncertain. Dae had gone very still, sensing danger. I should report this. You could, Hyunwoo agreed. But then you would have to explain why you were out here in the middle of the night. Were you doing something you should not be doing? Sung-ho? It was a bluff. But Sung-ho hesitated. After a long moment, he lowered his flashlight. I do not want any trouble. Neither do I. Sung-ho left, but Hyunwoo knew it was not over. He had seen doubt in the man's eyes. Doubt meant questions. Questions meant investigations. 2 weeks later, she arrived. Her name was Mireille. Imperial Intelligence Officer. She wore the gray uniform with quiet authority. She had cold eyes and a voice that revealed nothing. She called Hyunwoo to the Colonial Administrator's office. Taeyong was there too. Looking nervous. I am here to investigate reports of illegal xenofauna possession, Mireille said without preamble. I need to inspect your quarters. Hyunwoo's heart stopped. On what grounds? On the grounds that I am an Imperial Intelligence Officer, and I do not need grounds. She smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. Unless you have something to hide? No. Hyunwoo lied. The inspection was scheduled for the next day. Hyunwoo and Ji-won spent all night trying to figure out what to do. They could not hide Dae. He was too big now. They could not smuggle him off-world. There were no ships scheduled for weeks. "We need a miracle," G1 said. They got something else instead. The next morning, during the inspection, a mining drone malfunctioned. It crashed through the wall of the laboratory where Mireille was searching. Sparks flew. The drone's cutting laser activated, sweeping wildly. Mireille dove to the side, but the laser was coming straight for her. Day was supposed to be hidden in Hyunwoo's quarters. But he had learned how to open doors. He must have sensed danger. He burst through the laboratory door and leaped. Not at Mireille. In front of her. The laser hit his shoulder, burning through fur and flesh. Day roared in pain but held his position, shielding the human woman. Hyunwoo shut down the drone manually. Emergency teams rushed in. In the chaos, everyone saw Day. There was no hiding anymore. But Mireille, bleeding from a cut on her head, sat on the floor and stared at the Vakoth who had saved her life. "You protected me," she whispered. Day touched his tablet with a shaking paw. The words appeared on the screen. "Protect. Friends. No. Kill." Mireille looked at Hyunwoo. Her cold eyes were not cold anymore. They were full of questions. "I think," she said slowly. Mireille sat in Hyunwoo's quarters for 3 days. She watched. She took notes. She asked questions. Day, his shoulder bandaged but healing fast, answered her through his tablet. Simple sentences that grew more complex each day. "Why did you save me?" Mireille asked on the second day. Day's claws moved across the screen. "Hyunwoo, teach, good, help, others. I learn from him. You could have run, hidden. I was looking for you. You, hurt, running, not help." Mireille looked at Hyunwoo. "How long have you known he could do this?" "Months," Hyunwoo admitted. "But I only recently understood what it meant. It means everything we have been told about Vakoths is wrong." Mireille stood and walked to the window. Outside, the colony continued its daily routine. Nobody knew that their entire worldview was shattering in this small room. "It means the Empire has been killing sapient beings for decades." G1 entered with her data pad. She had been working non-stop, compiling all their research. "It is worse than that. I found something in the historical archives. Something that was buried deep." She projected a file onto the wall. Old reports, dated almost 50 years back. First contact between humans and Vakoths. The reports were marked classified, but G1 had ways of accessing things she should not. The first encounter was peaceful, G1 explained. A human exploration ship landed on a Vakoth world. The Vakoths approached them. Not with weapons. With gifts. Food. Water. They were trying to communicate. "What happened?" Mireille asked, though her voice suggested she already knew. A corporate mining fleet arrived 2 weeks later. They wanted the planet's resources. The Vakoths were in the way. The fleet fired on a nesting ground, killing hundreds. When the Vakoths fought back, the fleet reported them as hostile aggressors. The Empire declared them a threat to expansion. Kill-on-sight orders were issued. "And the truth?" Hyunwoo asked. "Classified, suppressed, forgotten. The people who knew are dead or silenced. The Empire rewrote history to justify what they had done." Silence filled the room. Day made a low sound, something between a growl and a moan. He touched his tablet. "My people, remember. In blood. In dreams." Hyunwoo frowned. "What do you mean, dreams?" Over the next hours, Day tried to explain something that human science did not have words for. Vakoths carried genetic memory. Not clear memories, but impressions. Feelings, flashes of important moments passed down from parent to child. Day had memories that were not his own. His mother's fear. His grandmother's rage. Echoes of a time when his people had homes and cities and art. "They had a civilization," G1 whispered. "And we destroyed it." Mireille paced the room. She was thinking, calculating. If I report this, they will bury it again. Probably bury all of us with it. The corporations have too much power. The empire has too much invested in the lie. So, what do we do? Hyunwoo asked. We expose it. All of it. But we need more than research data. We need proof that cannot be ignored. Sung-ho provided that proof. Though not in the way anyone expected. He had been watching. Listening. He had started his own investigation. After seeing Day, what he found in the cargo records horrified him. Vakoth remains being shipped off-world. Body parts sold to collectors. Trophies. Proof of successful hunts, but the manifests listed them as animal specimens. When the DNA clearly showed complex neural structures, they knew, Sung-ho told them when he arrived at Hyunwoo's quarters that night. The corporations knew these were intelligent beings. They just did not care. He handed Mireille a data chip. Everything is on here. Shipping logs, corporate communications, even video footage of Vakoth groups showing tool use and social structures. All classified, all ignored. Why are you helping us? Mireille asked. Because I have a daughter, Sung-ho said quietly. And I want to live in a galaxy where she knows the truth. Even if it is ugly. They spent 2 days preparing. Mireille used her intelligence contacts to set up a broadcast network that could not be easily shut down. Ji-won compiled the evidence into an undeniable presentation. Hyunwoo recorded Day demonstrating his intelligence, his capacity for language, his ability to reason and feel. But as they worked, Hyunwoo noticed something. Day was becoming restless. He would stare at the walls. He would pace. He would make low calls that sounded like songs. What is wrong? Hyunwoo asked. Day touched his tablet. Others. Out. There. Feel. Them. Calling. Need. Find. Them. There are more of your kind? Yes. Hiding. In. The. Dark. Places. Where. Humans. Fear. To. Go. The abyss. That was what the miners called it. A region of space filled with gravitational anomalies and radiation storms. Ships that went in rarely came out. The Empire had declared it off-limits, but now Hyunwoo understood. The Vakoths were not gone. They were hiding. Surviving. Waiting. You want to find them, Hyunwoo said. It was not a question. Must tell them about you, about hope, about change. The thought of Day leaving hurt more than Hyunwoo expected. Over these months, he had stopped thinking of Day as a research subject. He was family. But Hyunwoo knew that keeping Day here was selfish. He belonged with his own people. After the broadcast, Hyunwoo promised. After we tell the truth, then I will help you find them. On the night of the broadcast, they gathered in the communication center. Tae-yang, the colonial administrator, had been brought into their confidence. He was terrified, but agreed to help. The broadcast would go out on emergency channels, reaching every imperial world simultaneously. But before they could begin, the alarms sounded. Ships were approaching. Military ships, a full fleet. Mireille checked her secure channels and went pale. They know. Someone leaked it. Imperial High Command is sending Admiral Jun Seo to contain the situation. Contain? Ji-won asked. Sterilize the colony if necessary. No witnesses. No evidence. Hyunwoo looked at Day. At Ji-won. At Mireille, and Sung-ho, and Tae-yang. All these people, who had risked everything for the truth. Start the broadcast now, he said. They will shut it down, Mireille warned. Then we make sure it runs long enough to matter. The broadcast began. Ji-won's presentation played across 1,000 worlds. Evidence, documentation, footage of Day, speaking, reasoning, showing compassion, the truth about first contact, the corporate cover-up, the genocide, and then Day himself spoke directly to the camera. I am Day. I am Vakoth. I am person. My people are people. We hurt. We fear. We love. We dream. You kill us because you did not know. Now you know. What will you choose? The fleet arrived 20 minutes into the broadcast. Jamming signals began. But by then, the message had spread too far. News networks were picking it up. Social media exploded. Questions were being asked on 1,000 worlds. Admiral Junseo's voice came over the emergency channel. This is Imperial Fleet Command. All residents of Threshold 7 are ordered to surrender immediately. Failure to comply will result in military action. Hyunwoo looked at Dae. You need to go. Now. Find your people. You. Come. With. I cannot. This is my fight. I started it. I have to see it through. Hyunwoo pulled up a navigation file. Coordinates to the abyss that Mireille had found in classified records. Go. Be the bridge between our peoples. That is more important than staying with me. Dae pressed his head against Hyunwoo's chest. The gesture was so human it made Hyunwoo want to cry. Then Dae turned and ran into the night, toward the canyon, toward the wilderness, toward whatever came next. Hyunwoo watched him disappear, and then turned to face his friends. Now what? Mireille checked her weapon. G1 backed up their data to multiple secure locations. Sung-ho locked down the communication center. Tae-yang started evacuating civilians. Now, Mireille said, we see if the truth was worth it. Outside, the ships descended. Admiral Junseo was a man who followed orders. He had spent 30 years in the Imperial fleet, rising through the ranks through discipline and duty. He had never questioned his missions. When he received orders to contain the situation on Threshold 7, he prepared his fleet without hesitation. But when his intelligence officer showed him the broadcast, something changed. He watched Dae speak. He read the evidence. He saw the historical records that G1 had uncovered. And for the first time in his career, he felt doubt. Still, orders were orders. His fleet surrounded the colony. Marines prepared for deployment. Junseo opened a communication channel. This is Admiral Junseo to all residents of Threshold 7. You are harboring illegal xenofauna and distributing classified information. Surrender the creature and the responsible parties immediately. You have 1 hour to comply. In the communication center, Hyunwoo picked up the microphone. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. Admiral, the creature you speak of has a name. His name is Dae. He is sapient. He is a person. And everything we broadcast is true. The Empire has been lying for 50 years. I do not have time for debates, surrender, or face consequences. The whole galaxy is watching now, Admiral. They saw the broadcast before you jammed it. They know the truth. If you attack this colony, you will not be fighting terrorists. You will be killing people who exposed a genocide. There was silence on the other end. Then Junseo spoke again, and his voice was different. Uncertain. Where's the Vakoth now? Gone. Safe. You cannot hurt him anymore. We have orders to eliminate all Vakoths in this sector. Then you will have to find him first. And while you hunt him, the galaxy will be asking why. Why is the Empire so desperate to kill one person? What are you hiding? Junseo ended the communication. In his command ship, he sat in his chair and thought about his daughter, Bo-Ra. She was studying xenobiology on the capital world. She was young and idealistic and believed in making the galaxy better. What would she think of him if she knew what he was about to do? His communication officer interrupted his thoughts. Admiral, We are receiving thousands of messages from Imperial worlds. They are demanding answers about the broadcast. The Senate is calling for an investigation. Block all external communications, Junseo ordered. But it was too late. The truth was spreading faster than he could contain it. Social media was on fire. Protests were forming on major worlds. People were asking questions that the Empire could not answer. Then his personal channel beeped. It was Bo-Ra. "Father," she said, and her voice was shaking. "Tell me it is not true. Tell me we have not been killing intelligent beings." Junseo looked at his daughter's face on the screen. "I am following orders. That is what people always say when they do terrible things." She was crying now. "I saw the broadcast. I saw that Vakoth speak. He was asking for mercy, for understanding. Please do not do this. I have my duty." "Your duty to what? To truth? To justice? Or to an empire that lied to us?" Bo-Ra wiped her tears. "I love you, father. But if you attack that colony, I will never forgive you. And neither will history." The call ended. Junseo sat in the dark of his command ship and made a decision. On Threshold 7, Hyunwoo and his friends prepared for the worst. Mireille had set up defensive positions. Not that it would matter against a full military assault. G1 was still transmitting data to anyone who would receive it. Sung-ho was helping evacuate the few civilians who remained. Then the mercenaries arrived. They came before the military, corporate soldiers with no uniforms and no names. They were here to do what the military could not do officially. Kill the witnesses. Destroy the evidence. Make it look like an accident. They hit the communications center first. Explosions rocked the building. Mireille returned fire, her training taking over. She killed 3 mercenaries before they even knew she was there. But there were dozens of them. "Fall back," she shouted. "Get to the emergency bunker." They ran through the smoke and chaos. A mercenary appeared in front of them. Before he could fire, Sung-ho tackled him. They struggled. The mercenary's gun went off. Sung-ho fell. Hyunwoo tried to help him, but Ji-won pulled him away. "He is gone! We need to move!" They made it to the bunker, but they were trapped. The mercenaries surrounded them. It was only a matter of time. That was when everything changed. Junseo's voice came over the colony's emergency broadcast. "All unauthorized forces. This is Admiral Junseo of the Imperial Fleet. You are ordered to stand down immediately. This colony is under military protection." The mercenaries hesitated. Their commander tried to argue, but then Junseo's ships opened fire. "I said stand down," Junseo repeated. "Or, I will consider you hostile combatants. And act accordingly." The mercenaries retreated. Marines from Junseo's fleet landed and secured the colony. The admiral himself came down in a shuttle. Hyunwoo met him outside the bunker. The admiral looked tired. Old. Like he had aged 10 years in one day. "Why?" Hyunwoo asked. "Why did you help us?" "Because my daughter is right. Because I spent 30 years following orders without questioning them. And because I finally looked at the evidence with my own eyes." Junseo gestured to his Marines. "You are all under protective custody. Not arrest. Protection. There are powerful people who want you dead." "What about Day? The other Vakoths?" "I am declaring the Abyss a no-fly zone for all Imperial vessels. No hunting, no military operations. I cannot protect them beyond that. But it is a start." Mireille stepped forward. "You know they will court-martial you for this." "Probably," Junseo agreed. "But at least my daughter will be able to look at me without shame." While this was happening on Threshold 7, Day was crossing the wasteland toward the Abyss. He traveled through canyons and over mountains, following instincts he did not fully understand. The genetic memories guided him. His mother's memories, his grandmother's memories. Memories of a place where his people still survived. It took him weeks to reach the edge of the abyss. The gravitational distortions made him dizzy. The radiation made his fur stand on end. But He pushed forward. He found them in a hidden valley, shielded by the storms. Dozens of Vakoths, adults and cubs. They lived in caves and hunted the strange creatures that thrived in the radiation. They had no technology, no cities, no art. Everything had been taken from them. But they had survived. When day approached, they surrounded him. He was different. He smelled of humans. He carried human tools. They did not trust him. An old female stepped forward. Her fur was gray with age, and scars covered her body. She was the elder, the leader. Her name, as much as Vakoths had names, was Kethera. She circled Day, studying him. Then, she made a series of complex vocalizations. Day understood. It was the old language. The language that existed before humans came. Before the genocide. He tried to respond, but his mouth had learned human words. He was stuck between two worlds. Finally, he pulled out his tablet. The other Vakoths hissed at the technology, but Kethera raised a paw for silence. She watched as Day typed. I was raised by human named Hyunwoo. He saved me, protected me, taught me. Not all humans are enemies. Some want peace. Kethera made a sound that might have been laughter or pain. She touched the tablet with her own paw, clumsily at first, then with growing confidence. Humans killed my children, destroyed our home. Why should we trust? Because they are fighting for us, dying for us. Hyunwoo risked everything to tell truth. Now, Galaxy knows we are people. The other Vakoths made sounds of disbelief. But Kethera was quiet. She was old enough to remember the first humans, the ones who came with gifts. Before the violence, before the hate. You are bridge, she finally typed. Between what was and what could be. Stay. Teach us human words. We must learn to speak if we want to be heard. Day looked back toward the colony, toward Hyunwoo. He wanted to return, but he knew his place was here, teaching his people, preparing them for a galaxy that had changed because one human refused to walk away. On Threshold 7, Hyunwoo stood on the landing pad and watched the sunset. Sung-ho was dead. The communication center was destroyed. The price of truth had been paid in blood. But messages were coming in from across the galaxy. Protests, demands for investigation. The Senate was forced to act. The corporations were scrambling to cover themselves. The truth was out, and there was no putting it back. Mireille stood beside him. Jun-seo is facing court-martial. They are calling him a traitor. He is a hero, Hyunwoo said quietly. History will decide that. If we survive long enough to write it. She paused. Do you think it was worth it? All of this? Hyunwoo thought about Day. About Sung-ho. About all the Vakoths who had died before anyone knew they were people. Ask me in 50 years, he said. 3 years changed everything. 3 years changed nothing. Hyunwoo stood at the window of his small apartment on the neutral station called Haven. It was not much. 2 rooms and a kitchen. But it was safe. Mostly. The imperial government could not reach him here. The corporations could not touch him. He was trapped between jurisdictions, protected by legal loopholes and diplomatic complications. He was also completely alone. G1 came to visit sometimes. She ran the Interspecies Understanding Institute now, funded by donors who believed in the cause. She had lost her arm in the attack on Threshold 7. The prosthetic she wore was functional but basic. She said she kept it that way to remember the price of truth. The Senate passed the Vakoth Recognition Act, she told him during her last visit. 23 systems have ratified it. Vakoths are officially recognized as sapient beings in those territories. And the other systems? Hyunwoo asked. They still maintain the kill orders. They say the evidence was faked, that we are terrorists trying to destabilize the empire. Jiwon sat down heavily. She looked tired. They all looked tired these days. We saved them from genocide, and half the galaxy thinks we are the villains. Border conflicts had erupted. Systems that recognized Vakoth rights refused to trade with systems that did not. Some colonies declared independence. Others doubled down on the old policies. The empire was fracturing along lines that Hyunwoo had drawn when he decided to save one dying cub. People had died, thousands of them, in protests, in conflicts, in terrorist attacks from both sides. Hyunwoo received death threats daily. People blamed him for destabilizing the galaxy. They said he had started a war. They said he should have left well enough alone. Sometimes, late at night, he wondered if they were right. Taeyang had died 6 months ago. An assassination made to look like an accident. Mireille had investigated but found nothing concrete. Just ghosts and shadows and powerful people covering their tracks. Junseo was in prison, serving a 20-year sentence for treason. His daughter Bo-Ra visited him every week. She had become one of the leading voices in the Vakoth rights movement. She told Hyunwoo once that her father had no regrets, that he slept better in a prison cell than he ever had as an admiral. And Dae? Hyunwoo had not seen Dae in 3 years. The message came on a Tuesday. It was audio only, transmitted through encrypted channels that Mireille helped maintain. When Hyunwoo heard the voice, he almost did not recognize it. It was deeper now, more confident, but still unmistakably Dae. Hyunwoo. Father. I. The words were clearer now. Dae had been practicing, learning, growing. The message continued. My people are learning human language. Kethara says we must learn to talk if we want to be part of galaxy. Some resist, they remember only pain, but young ones listen, they want to know about humans. I tell them about you, about kindness, about choice. They do not believe. So, I ask, will you come? Will you show them that not all humans are enemies? The message included coordinates. Deep in the abyss, a journey that would take weeks and require special permits that Hyunwoo did not have. He listened to the message 17 times before he made his decision. The journey was harder than he expected. He had to travel on smuggler ships, using false identities that Mireille provided. He passed through 3 checkpoints, where guards looked at him with suspicion. Everyone knew his face. Everyone had an opinion about what he had done. When he finally reached the coordinates, he found a small settlement at the edge of the abyss. There were prefabricated buildings, communication equipment, gardens growing strange plants, and Vakoths, dozens of them, living alongside a handful of humans who had volunteered to help. Dae was waiting at the landing pad. He was huge now, easily 3 times Hyunwoo's size. His golden eyes were the same, but everything else had changed. He moved with the grace and power of a fully grown predator. He was magnificent and terrifying. For a moment, Hyunwoo felt fear. This was not the small cub he had saved. This was something else, something dangerous. Then Day made a sound. A soft rumbling. The sound that meant happiness. Father, Day said, the word clear and perfect. You came. Hyunwoo felt tears on his face. Of course I came. You asked? They walked through the settlement together. Day showed him everything. The young Vakoths learning to read. The elders studying human history. The shared meals where humans and Vakoths sat together. The art installations where Vakoth music mixed with human instruments. Is it working? Hyunwoo asked. The integration? Slowly. Day admitted. Many humans still fear us. Many of my people still hate humans. But here we try. We learn. We hope. That night, they sat under strange stars, and Hyunwoo asked the question that had haunted him for 3 years. Was it worth it? All the death. All the chaos. If you could go back, knowing what would happen, would you want me to save you? Day was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with thought. Before, you, my people, were dying in silence. No one knew. No one cared. Now, Galaxy knows we exist. We are people. Children born today will not live in hiding. They will not die unnamed. That matters. Blood was paid. Yes, but blood was being paid before, in secret. Now, at least, it means something. I dream about Sungho, Hyunwoo confessed. About all the people who died because of my choice. I dream about my mother, about all my people who died before you made your choice. Day touched Hyunwoo's shoulder gently with one massive paw. You did not start violence. You only made it visible. That is not same. They stayed up all night talking about the past, about the future, about the impossible task of healing wounds that ran so deep. In the morning, Kithara requested to meet Hyunwoo. She was ancient now, her body failing. But her mind was sharp. She studied him with eyes that had seen too much death. Then, she touched a communication tablet. You saved one of ours when you could have walked away. That one choice changed everything in our history. We will remember you, human, who saw person where others saw monster. I did what anyone should have done, Hyunwoo said. No. Kithara's eyes were sad. You did what almost no one would do. That is why it mattered. The crisis came a week later. Mireille contacted Hyunwoo with urgent news. Hardline factions in the Empire were planning a coordinated attack on Vakoth settlements. They wanted to reignite the conflict, to prove that coexistence was impossible. They planned to make it look like the Vakoths had attacked first. They are going after the diplomatic delegation, Mireille explained. The one that is supposed to address the Senate next month. If those Vakoth ambassadors die, it will start a war that will undo everything. Hyunwoo looked at Dae. What do we do? They traveled to the capital world using emergency clearances that Junseo provided from his prison cell. It was a trap within a trap. The hardliners wanted to assassinate the ambassadors, but they also wanted to capture Hyunwoo and Dae, two symbols destroyed in one operation. The plan was simple. Expose the conspiracy before they could act. Mirai had infiltrated the hardline network. She had evidence, communications, plans, everything they needed. But simple plans never survive contact with reality. The hardliners moved faster than expected. They attacked the ambassador's compound 2 days early. Explosions. Gunfire. Chaos. Hyunwoo and Dae arrived in the middle of it. Dae fought with the fury of his ancestors, protecting the ambassadors. Hyunwoo used the emergency broadcast system to transmit Mirai's evidence live. No more secrets, no more lies. Just the truth, raw and undeniable. Security forces arrived. Imperial troops. They found hardline soldiers attacking Vakoth diplomats, while a Vakoth and a human were defending them. The symbolism was too powerful to ignore. The hardliners were arrested. The conspiracy was exposed. But Hyunwoo was also arrested. There were still systems that wanted him dead. Still charges pending. Still people who blamed him for everything. The trial lasted 3 months. Hyunwoo stood in the imperial court, while prosecutors argued he had committed treason, violated quarantine protocols, and started a galactic crisis. His defenders argued he had exposed a genocide, saved a species, and acted with moral courage. The Senate chamber was packed. Half wanted him executed, half wanted him declared a hero. On the final day, Dae was allowed to testify. He was the first Vakoth to speak before the Imperial Senate. He stood in the witness box, massive and dignified, and used the translation system they had built together. Hyunwoo. Found. Me. Dying. He. Could. Have. Left. Me. He. Could. Have. Killed. Me. He. Did. Neither. He. Saw. A. Person. In. Pain. And. He. Helped. That. Is. All. He. Did. Help. The. Rest. The. Death. The. Conflict. The. Change. That. Is. Not. His. Fault. That. Is. The. Fault. Of. A. Galaxy. That. Chose. Lies. Over. Truth. You. Want. To. Punish. Someone. For. Disrupting. Your. Comfortable. Lies. But. You. Cannot. Punish. Compassion. Without. Losing. Your. Own. Humanity. The silence that followed was absolute. The verdict came a week later. Guilty of protocol violations. Sentenced to permanent exile from Imperial core worlds. Not death. Not imprisonment. Just exile. It was a compromise that satisfied no one. But it let everyone claim some kind of victory. 20 years later, Hyunwoo was an old man. His hair was white. His hands shook. He lived on a frontier world that had never chosen a side in the Vakoth debates. He taught xenobiology at a small university. His students did not know who he was. Or if they did, they were kind enough not to mention it. The message came on a morning like any other. It was a video. Dae appeared on the screen, older but still strong. He was holding a small Vakoth cub. The cub had golden eyes. "Father," Dae said, his human language perfect now. "I want you to meet my son. His name is Hyun. After you, he is learning human words. He asks about you, about The human who changed everything. I tell him, you are not a hero. You are not a saint. You are just someone who made a choice when choices mattered. That is enough. The cub on the screen made a small sound. Day smiled. He wants to say hello. The cub leaned toward the camera. In halting, careful words, he said, hello, grandfather. Hyunwoo sat in his small house and cried. Not sad tears. Not happy tears. Just tears of recognition. That his choice, that one moment in a canyon 3 decades ago, rippled forward into this moment. This cub. This future. The galaxy still argued about what he had done. Some systems recognized Vakoths as people. Others did not. The borders were still tense. The peace was still fragile. Nothing was resolved. But young Vakoths grew up learning human language. And young humans grew up knowing that Vakoths could speak. The next generation would inherit the mess Hyunwoo had created. But they would also inherit the possibility of something better. He replied to Day's message with a simple video of his own. An old man, sitting in the light of a binary sunset. Tell Hyun that his grandfather made a choice. That choices have consequences. That consequences are hard and complicated and never stop rippling. But that compassion is always worth the price. Even when the galaxy makes you pay forever. He sent the message and watched the suns set. Somewhere in the abyss, a Vakoth cub watched his grandfather's message and learned what it meant to choose kindness over fear. And somewhere in the Empire, arguments continued about whether Hyunwoo was a hero or a villain. But the arguments themselves proved that everything had changed. The galaxy would never forgive him. The galaxy would never forget him. And that, Hyunwoo decided, was exactly as it should be.